What's going on, guys? This is Burrs here with a channel update. We're here in December, which is a big holiday kind of month, if you will. We just had Thanksgiving. Now we're moving up towards Christmas. I celebrate Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody out there. If you don't celebrate it, Happy Holidays, whatever you want to say. You know I'm all about freedom, but I say Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas. It's a Merry Christmas kind of time of year, if it makes any sense. But let's get down to the video here. So, this is a channel update, so we're going to be talking about what's going on with my channel and what we're doing. And the first thing we're going to talk about is Facebook. A lot of people have used the Facebook page that I have, which is a friend page, and I'm trying to transition over into a like page, if you will. So, and the reason I do that is because there's some things available to me that I can do on that page that I can't do on my friend page. So down below is going to be the link to that page, which is Captain Burrs fan page. If you just go Facebook / Captain Burrs fan page. And the one thing we're going to be doing over there is a giveaway, which isn't just a single item, isn't just 2 items or 3. It's a bunch of items, and it's going to be Magpul, Original SOE, JTech, VZ grips. A lot of stuff is going to be given away over there. And the reason this is a cool giveaway is because it isn't just a whole big giveaway. A lot of channels will be like, oh, get in this giveaway. It's a huge thing. You're going to get $40,000 worth of stuff or whatever. And, it's one winner, take all pretty much in a lot of these. But in mine, it's one item, one winner. And there's a lot of items, so there's going to be a lot of winners. So here is the Original SOE single point sling. I'm going to be giving that away. We have an Eno Pro Nest hammock, and I'm also going to include this in there with it, which is the BioRemain Traveler XXL double hammock. So you're going to get 2 hammocks in one entry, if you will. VZ grips 1911. These are 1911 grips. These are the Alien grips, regularly about 60-65 bucks, brand new. And these are just a few of the things. Here's a JTech Hercules backpack. See, it's pretty large. I have to back up to get it on camera. Hercules backpack. So there's a few things that we're going to be giving away on that channel probably in the next 2 weeks. So get over to the link down below and go ahead and hit the like button and get those likes up. I'm trying to transition people over, but through building up the other page, it takes a while to get those transitioned over. So we're working on that right now. As far as the reviewing and stuff goes, the other thing I want to do with that Facebook page is kind of get into an integrated experience for the viewer, if you will. A lot of places that I see that are doing reviews and such, you see the reviews, you see the video. It's not really interactive though. And the one thing that I actually want to do, and I have been doing kind of off and on, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, this is the direction I want to go. And it's kind of unique, is with what I'm testing, I want to actually take pictures of it and throw it up on that Facebook page, which I do, and then discuss it. Like I just threw up a picture of this right here, which is a Vertex Ops soft shell jacket, which was getting pummeled with sleet and snow and rain the other day. And I threw a picture up where I took a picture, I think it was in this area right here, and it was definitely, it wasn't soaking in or anything, but I threw a picture up. I said, hey, I'm testing this out today. I'm going to be asking guys, and gals, what do you think about this? Do you have this? What's your experience with it? Here's what it's doing for me. Here's what it's doing for you. So that's one thing I'm going to do on that Facebook page, is have more of an interactive experience up until the time where I do a review. So if you want to have discussions, if you want to engage in conversation and such about gear, get over to that Facebook page down below, click on the like button so it shows up in your feed, and I try to get pictures of the stuff I'm testing and throw it up there and give my thoughts on what's going on at that moment in time. But then on the back end of that, what's your experience with it? What do you think is going to happen in this testing? What have you seen with your own personal experiences with gear? So that's one thing that's kind of different between a lot of the other channels I see, is I'm going to try to create more of an interactive experience up until the point of when the review actually goes live, if you will. So some of the other stuff that I'm actually reviewing, and that's actually coming up here, is this Kifaru Wooby. This is a multicam Wooby, and it's in one of their stuff sacks, one of the Kifaru stuff sacks, which are really cool. and we're going to be reviewing this. I actually had it out and did some testing with it. I've been doing sleeping bag testing, as a lot of people know, obviously with a lot of the videos that have been coming out lately. But I'm doing a lot of that because you don't see that where you're actually seeing a difference between bags. So for instance, I have a Tracker 5 bag from Teton Sports, 5 degree rated, and I have a Eureka Casper 15 bag. They're both within a pound of each other. The Casper 15 for some reason performs better than the Tracker 5. Okay, so you got a 10 degree difference in the bag, but and it's lighter. The Casper is lighter and it performs better than the 5 degree bag, and they're both around the same price. So which one would I rather buy? So that's the kind of stuff that you don't see in the real world with testing, is when you have multiples of things, and this is the one thing I'm going to discuss when I'm done with this point, is when you have multiples of things and you go out and put a number to things. Now I try my best to, I wear the same clothing, I try to wear the same hat, I try to keep all the elements the same that I can, all the aspects of the test, if you will, to make it as scientific as possible. When you have numbers to put behind things like sleeping bags and such, you can then compare. Me having a sleeping bag and saying, okay, yeah, this really kept me warm, etc., is one thing, but me saying, hey, this kept me 5 degrees warmer than this would, or this warmed me up 10 degrees faster in 5 minutes than this did. So this is something I recommend, because if you're in a situation where you're really cold, you're hypothermic or whatever, you want to get in a bag, this bag's really good for that. That's the kind of stuff you can't really, real feel. It's kind of difficult to explain, if you will, compared to actually putting a number to what you're talking about. So that's one thing I think is interesting, and that's why I'm doing it. I took the Kifaru. We'll be out in 30 degree weather, and that little test is coming out here soon. But I like this a lot. Another thing is I'm doing a lot of hammock stuff because I do backpacking more so in the colder weather. So here's an Infinity hammock I'm going to test out. I also have a Hennessy. I'm going to get a Hammock Bliss. I have a bunch of other ones that are coming. I'm also testing that out as well. As far as the sleeping bags go, here's a Valantre. This is a Swing 700, which is actually my favorite one of theirs, just because the color of it is like a coyote color, which I really like. You can see here, it's kind of like a coyote-ish color. I think they call it copper though, but I really like it a lot, and the bag performs relatively well. So, again, back to that point that I was talking about with multiples of things, I do have a lot of individual items. So sleeping bags, I have a lot of sleeping bags, and I try to review as many as I can, because a lot of people, will say, well, let me back up a little bit. When you see a review of an item, and this is very true for, even, the beginning of this channel, I might have 1 or 2 of something, but until you have, multiples of something where you have a lot of data, if you will, to say this sucks, or that's good, or this needs improved, or this is better than that at this, until you have a good base of items, if you will, to compare, and that's why I'm doing a sleeping bag test, you can't really say, well, this is better than that, because if I only have one Kydex holster, and I've said this before, so for people who've heard this before, just kind of fast forward 30 seconds. If I only have one Kydex holster and it works, I'm going to say, this holster is really good, you need to go buy this one. But if I haven't seen or used or interacted with someone who has another one and used that, that I am not experiencing every one. So how do I know that this one over here is not crafted better than this one over here, if all I have ever purchased was 1 or even 2, and I have 2 comparisons? So when it comes to gear, you have to have a good base of products to compare against, so that you can really say, this stands out a lot compared to these other 5 things. So that's what I try to do here. And with the sleeping bag review, I had to say 12 sleeping bags. I can definitely say 2 of them stick out really more than others. It doesn't even make sense. 2 of them stick out a lot more than the rest of them, 2 or 3. So the Valantre Swing 600, the Mobile Mummy, is, I mean, go buy that thing once it's available in January, because it's a pre-production. A lot of people ask me about where they can buy it. It's pre-production, but when it's out in January, go buy it, because that thing is light, it's durable, and it keeps you really freaking warm. And that Eureka Casper 15, really impressed with that as well. You know, there's a synthetic. The Mobile Mummy is a down, and the Valentré is a down. So, you know, if you're looking on a budget and synthetic, Casper 15. If you're looking for, you know, spend a little bit more, go the Mobile Mummy route, or the Valentré 600, and you want to go down. So, you know, that's what you get when you have multiples of things. I can take things and say, hey, if you want this, I recommend that. But, you know, other ones I've tested, especially in the North Face Elkhorn 0 degree sleeping bag, that thing has really left me down as far as exactly, I went into that thinking this bag is gonna rule every other bag. It's North Face, it has something called Heat Shield or Heat Elite synthetic material in it. And I'm thinking to myself, this thing's gonna be amazing. And it's very subpar compared to, you know, things that are 4 times less in price than it is. So, you know, that's just some information in regard to reviews and how I go about them, and kind of the backstory to it. Another thing which is really cool I'm going to be doing here, I'm actually going to be doing this weekend, or a part of it this weekend, is I got this multicam material. This is Epsilon material, and I'm going to be making a hammock out of it. So it's just a gathered down hammock, and this weekend I have to go to my aunt's house and hem the edges, and then I'm going to go ahead and collect the ends and hook it up with whoopee slings. But, you know, I'm going to throw this in my multicam recon pack just for whatever, because it's going to be super light. And if I need a shelter, you know, I have a tarp in there, so I can use this, you know, to get a little bit of rest, or, you know, whatever. You know, it's so light, and the fact that this material is also you know, weather resistant, I can also, you know, cover over top of it and kind of use it as a shelter if I need to. So it has multiple uses. Even, you know, like a pack cover, if you will. I can throw it on my pack as a pack cover. There's a ton of different uses for this if I really wanted to break it down, but it weighs barely anything for what it is. But it's really good material, so I'm going to do that this weekend. And that video series is going to come out with do-it-yourself hammock, how to make that from start to finish, and different options you can go with. So that's one video. It's on the horizon. Probably won't be out for probably about another, I don't know, month, because once I get this filmed, I'm going to have to go back and edit it. I'm going to have to get all the stuff together as far as, you know, the options that you have when you put together a hammock. So that's one video that's coming out. I also have this Mayflower. This is their like concealed messenger bag, if you will. I forget the exact wording of it off the top of my head, but, you know, I really like it. I wish it'd be a little bit bigger. I wish it'd have a bigger option to hold a 17-inch laptop, but you know what, I like it. It's definitely made very well. It's made with great material, and that review will be coming out soon, because I use this every single day at work, and really like it. The other thing is the grip stop. I've been holding off on making a review of this grip stop just for the sheer fact that they finally have come out with the Picatinny version, and I didn't want to make a video and then have to answer a question over and over again, because this is what happens when you make videos on YouTube. Why don't they have a Picatinny version? Where's the Picatinny version? When's that Picatinny version going to come out? There would have been a lot of questions about that, because I got that on the first video that I did with Nate Murr, where he kind of went through and explained the whole grip stop thing, phenomena, and, you know, where he developed it from and where he came up with the idea, and, you know, the whole process of how to use it. You know, that video, there's a lot of people who ask about the Picatinny version. So I held off on my own review of it, and the sheer fact of there was going to be a lot of questions on that. So finally got a Picatinny version here, as you can see. So that review will be coming out shortly as well. So great product, as you all know. I have it on my guns, and really like it. Now they got a Picatinny version, so definitely get all the high points of that, and then I'll throw a review together and get it out to you like usual. But thanks again for all the support. You know, this year has been really great with YouTube. Meeting a lot of different people, going a lot of different places. You know, just when I go back to the beginning of the year to now, and I do this every year with YouTube, because being on YouTube and doing the reviews and getting involved with different people and different, you know, functions, if you will, you definitely get to meet some really cool people that are out there, and some really cool fans. And, you know, through all that, you definitely get to learn a lot of different things from a lot of different people. So that's definitely one of the cooler parts of doing, this whole review game, if you will, that I like is, you get to learn a lot of different things from a lot of different people. And you can do that through the comments, you can do that from meeting people, through other people's videos. There's tons of different ways you can do that, and that's what always interests me, is because, I'm constantly in that mode of, things can be better, I can do things better, how can I do things better, and what are people doing better than me? And I take all that and, I apply it to my life in different areas. And, just like, hammocking. Shug Emery has taught me so much since I found his channel a while back to now. I can't really, people always ask me all the time about all this different hammock stuff. And they're like, I'll either get, have you heard of Shug Emery? Or I'll get, I want to learn more about this, and there's something maybe I am not versed in to a point where I think he has a better, knowledge on that. He's definitely a bigger subject matter expert on hammocking than I am, obviously. And I'll be like, hey, go see that guy. So if you guys want to learn about hammocking, Shug Emery, and I'll put a link to his channel down below. Go over and check him out. He definitely has a quirky personality. It reminds me of my best friend when I was a kid. So I think that's one reason why I like to watch his channel. He really reminds me of, a lot of times when I was a kid, and just this free spirited attitude. My one best friend when I was a kid. But anyway, thanks for all the support. It's been a great year. And there's a lot planned for next year. Definitely going to go to another Rich Graham class if I can. I know that he's going to be in New Jersey a few times, so I'm going to try to get to that if I can, depending on what the subject is with what they're teaching. Maybe not North Carolina. He has some stuff there sometimes he goes to and creates, so maybe I'll get to one of those classes. Rockwell Tactical with Nate Murr and Jared over there. I'd like to get over to one of those classes, great classes as well. So there's a lot of different classes I want to get to this year, and that's where my focus is going to be this year, is more going to classes, interviewing people, and trying to get you guys the best information I can. And that's why I go to people, like Brandon LaBouffe, and Joe Tedeye, Nate Murr, Rich Graham. Those are names and people that I respect in the business, and I try to get them on camera so that you guys can kind of interact with them. If you have questions, I try to on Facebook, tell you guys, hey, if you have any questions for this person, I'm going to be hooking up with them. We're going to be hooking up and going on a date. Not really, but I'm going to be seeing these guys and talking to them and interacting with them and going to classes and stuff. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. If I interview people, I'm always on Facebook before I have the interview. I'm like, what questions do you guys want to ask Joe Tedeye? Or whoever I'm interviewing, Oz from Rhino Wars, what questions do you guys have? So if you guys are in on that interaction, go over there down below, hit the like button on that Facebook page so it's in your feed, so that when that stuff comes up, you guys on camera will see in the interviews, your questions come up. So that's one other thing. So like I said, if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. You always do through, personal messages. I know this whole Google Plus thing is kind of change things around. Sometimes I can comment on stuff, sometimes I can't. I don't really understand half the time, but then again, there's only so much I can do. So usually what I'll end up doing is personal messaging someone if I can't comment on their comment that they leave. So if I'm not responding to your comments, sorry, but there's still some things I'm still trying to figure out with Google Plus. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, put it in the comments down below. Put it in a personal message, and until next time, later. The holidays, the Christmas time, the Christmas season, if you will. I say Merry Christmas. Not gonna say Happy Holidays. Just how I roll. If you want to say Happy Holidays, you can do that. But I say Merry Christmas. So I'm Merry Christmas and to everyone. Merry Christmas. To start off this video. But this video, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy Holidays. Whatever you want to say, go ahead and say it.